What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? You are here for another edition of Knick-ish. This is our Knick-ish at Night segment where we bring in a new guest every week to join our show. And I'm especially excited for tonight because I want to say one of the hardest workers in Knicks podcast, Knicks Twitter. And he's been killing the game right now. One of the highest rated guys on Sportscaster and ranking up more and more views on YouTube. It feels like every day he's really putting in the work. So I'm pleased to bring into the show, man, Guillermo, host of the Legion of Knicks podcast. Welcome to the show, man.
Salute to you guys, man. Thanks for having me on. Thanks.
Salute to you, man.
Sorry. I thought I heard something.
No, I was just saying salute to you too. I mean, it looked like I don't know, something wrong with my connection. Y'all just bugged out for me for a second. But yeah, I mean, echo my partner right here. I mean, we were just talking offline. Sportscaster, it's like you the most valuable player there. Definitely for the MBK network, at least. You know what I mean? So I guess we could start there. Legion Knicks podcast. You know what I mean? I guess was Sportscaster your start or foray into the podcasting world, or were you doing the podcast and then Sportscaster kind of came about and then it all took off from there?
So it really started. So I started going on MBK probably like 2 years ago. I used to wear these like awful V-neck shirts and just used to just scream about the Knicks with Tim. And then Tim kind of had me as like he has a whole bunch of people as kind of like as on, continuing guests or whatever. It was like, why don't you create your own podcast? And I was like, I don't have enough time, blah, blah. He's like, dude, you literally talk about analyzing this and doing this. You might as well start doing videos. I was like, all right, whatever. Got into it. I did the Blazers game probably like a few years ago. And I was like, all right, if I could like kind of streamline some of the production stuff, because that's like probably the toughest. Like if I had somebody to just do that, I'd do that all day. Just do videos. But, editing and all that stuff is just tough. Or not tough, but time consuming. And so I just started from there. And then Sim told me about an opportunity through Sportscaster with the I think he's a creator, or one of the creators, Nick Shupak. And he was like, hey, you guys gel really well together. Would you like to do a show, like an ongoing? There's like a team of us on Sportscaster. Would you guys like to do a show? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. And we started doing it every Tuesday and Thursday, have these debates and go back and forth. Unfortunately, that partnership is ending, the Sportscaster, because they're going in a different direction. But he said, hey, you guys did extremely well. Hopefully we could work together again in the future. But Sim and I, when there aren't games, we still do the Tuesday, Thursday slot. So ever since then, it just kind of took off. It's tough because I want to do actually more analytical stuff. And so it's tough for me to like get those videos out just because I have a career. And so it's like during the day, I can't really. So at the very least, I try to do the lives and I try to try to plug in some of the more analytical stuff, because we can say here it's my bias versus your bias for the most part, but sometimes bring in some of the, not necessarily the numbers, context, way guys are playing, trends, things of that nature. So even my own cognitive dissonance might be might erode away and be like, all right, I was wrong on this. For instance, Julius Randle, I was not a fan of him last year.
No, how anybody was.
Join the club.
Yeah, and people were like, oh, well, he produced 19 and 10. I'm like, well, I remember a guy back in the day named Corey Maggette, and he used to 19 and 10, and his team, for the most part, used to lose all the time. Yeah. 19 and 10, there's something called empty stats. Like just because you're putting up numbers, if your style of play is not conducive to the team winning, I mean, Chris Webber is probably, compared to last year, is probably like the antithesis of what Julius Randle was, right? Yeah. Where sacrificed part of his game to make guys better. I mean, that's how he was probably one of the growing up. That was probably one of the premier point forwards I could think of back in the day. And I always thought, okay, if Julius Randle's going to be a point forward, obviously, you have Jokic and stuff now. Last year it wasn't. So, with Julius Randle changing his game this year, it's like, all right, he looks a lot better because I looked at the stats. I looked even in the preseason, Julius Randle was, even it's not preseason, early this season, you look at his assists, secondary assists, potential assists, things like that. So, all right, now I can't hit on him. Now he's actually playing well. He's playing forward. And so that's what I try like to do on my show. And I try to have I have everybody on my show. Some people might call my show a little bit boring, but it's like, sitting there rah fighting. It's like, okay, then what did we learn? So I'm probably more so on the boring side of the encyclopedia. Yes, let's look up sports reference or that. But it's like it's helpful. So
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to listen to. Honestly, it's a bunch of guys and girls talking ball and just speaking your thoughts. And we all love the game. We all love the Knicks. And shout out to MBK fam, man. Shout out to Sim
Yeah,
for getting us all involved. We got involved with Sportscaster as well, pretty later. But Sim and us, we joined together as affiliates of MBK just a couple of months back. He was our special guest for our 50th episode, and now fast forward, we're almost at our 100th. But you mentioned video analysis. What if you did have the time? What do you see yourself being able to do? Do you see yourself putting in, game footage and then doing the pauses and doing the thorough breakdown or anything like that?
Yeah, I had this series when I had a little bit more time. It was especially right around the holiday season when things were slow. I had an ongoing series called The Good, the Bad, the Knicks, where I'll take every game and just provide a few good plays, a few bad plays, and then sounds corny, but it's these Knicksian plays where it's like it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just a certain trend or something that Tom Thibodeau's run out there. So like people like to kill Tom Thibodeau and say, oh, he doesn't, his offenses are just basic, blah blah. It's like, well, he's run Spain pick and roll. He's run double screens up top. He's run a lot of I won't say complex. Like he's not running like the motion offense, but he's running aspects of the horns. He's running triangles. He's running reverse flexes. I try to bring out those type of things. Sometimes it is there. The Knicksian things might also be, Kevin Knox can't do ish worth a lick on the floor. It might be, RJ Barrett's, his shooting form, stuff like that. I had a video talking about RJ Barrett's shooting form. And then literally 2 weeks after that, Drew Hanlon was talking about it. Not saying anybody caught, I'm just saying, I like to get into things like that. And then shooting form during the preseason when he couldn't make a three to save his life, but he saw little changes here and there. And those are type of things I like to pick up on, where it's like, even if the numbers may not say it, now obviously now it does a little bit, right? He's shooting over 40% from three since January 1st, but things of that nature. Also college breakdown. So last year I started late. I did a college breakdown of Devin Vassell and Kara Lewis, and it kind of just showed like good, bad, things about their games. So stuff like that. If I had the time, if I was like a millionaire, I would just literally wake up at 12:01 and just pump out those type of videos and have an editor, give it to that editor, do all the stuff and literally just film and research. Like I'm not necessarily like one of these guys that advanced stats, like, yes, they're helpful in context, but I like looking at film and just sitting there analyzing film. If I had like a coach or somebody else to be like, nah, you got that wrong, blah, blah, like that's the type of wonkish kind of stuff I like. Cause that granular detail to the game when you add numbers plus context, you understand a game at a higher level. You know what I mean? So that's, I love arguing. I love that stuff too. I love doing that. But the wonkish, boring stuff, that's my cup of tea.
So like, did you have a background in coaching, or did you play ball in college, or was it just like something you picked up just watching, and then like you noticed little things here and there, started reading some stuff, and then that's what kind of kicked it off, or what drove that really?
I played all the way up to high school. I played in Wilton High School, in Connecticut. Terrible team. I was a 6'3" center, mind you. The best player I played against was David McClure. He went to Duke. He didn't really become big or anything, but you play in Connecticut where a whole bunch of kids who are playing with families who are somehow, all of a sudden they're, these kids from the Congo and all this stuff, these 6'10" behemoths had to play against. So we got destroyed, but defense. Like, even though my coach wasn't great, but because he came from Norwalk, which is a neighboring town, but the team we used to have a lot of talent. But a lot of things that he told me like helped me to see the game on a higher level. Like setting picks, shifting your feet, court awareness, and especially on defense. Like that was my calling card because they allowed me to shoot. Basically, I was just allowed to basically defend and pass the ball. But just having spots on the floor, so it's like it helped me to gain a better understanding of the game. It's like, oh crap, and even though we weren't great, understanding different zones, 2-3, 3-2, amoeba defenses or amoeba zones, 1-4, a box and one, things like that, half court, all that stuff. So, it was like, oh, all right, this makes sense. You start to see, even though defensively I was good, offensively I was like, I couldn't do anything. But it's like it helped me to see on a high level. And I got to college, I didn't play in college. I just played like a lot of intramural pickup, but a lot of those things stayed with me. And so when I was I was watching film on like the mid 2000s, watching the so-called, the Shumperts and Jordan Hills and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus. But if you're watching you're watching that one team that I did like before we traded for Melo. That Wilson Chandler, Gallinari, Mozgov, Felton, Amari run the high screen, high pick and roll, kick it out to the perimeter guys. At that time, you had Landry Fields. He was like 9th in Rookie of the Year voting. And it was like, oh, yeah, he was a bum. I was like, nah, he was actually good. He fit the system well. And like that type of stuff, like it stuck with me. So, that's how I got into, basketball. I've always played basketball. I think just college, I was like, I went to a D3 school. Terrible Carnegie Mellon. I didn't give a damn to play ball.
Gotcha.
Some of those guys, you could beat in pickup. So it was just like, whatever, I don't really care. But ever since I always just always stuck to basketball. It was just, a passion of mine. So yeah.
Are you an engineer by day? So you want to
No, I'm in finance. I work at a CLO. I work on a leverage loan side. But no, nice. Carnegie Mellon. 90% of my friends are either engineering. I have one in CS. And the rest are probably finance, but hell no. I couldn't do Mech E or ECE, none of that.
All right. So with your analytical take, what did you think of last night's game? Apart from fatigue, obviously fatigue plays a role. They came off a back-to-back, traveled to San Antonio, and Derrick Rose was out. But were there any other things that caught your eye as a reason why the Knicks might have lost the Spurs? Their best player, DeRozan, only scored 10 points. So what were some of the main takeaways that you had from that game?
Well, I mean, this is an ongoing thing, right? It's, the ice pick and roll defense hurts us, right? Because if you look at how they kind of busted open the game, Trey Lyles and our defense was bad. We didn't have really a floor general on the court, a guy like Derrick Rose to kind of break the defense. Because again, look at, and even not even just breaking defense, because we try to go into the paint and we play to the hand. I mean, how many times you saw RJ or quickly whoever was in the first half try to drive and have 3 guys draped on them? Whether it was Pirtle. They didn't even have size in the start. They had Pirtle. Who else played the 4? Not DeRozan. Who's the other? Oh, Trey Lyles. Right?
Yeah.
Crashed in the middle. On the pass that got out to Trey Lyles. If you look back at it, I remember like the third 3 Trey Lyles played shot, in the corner. A lot of times because of the ice, well, not necessarily ice pick and roll defense. I take it back. We sell out on paint defense, and so many times on one of the wings, you might see like a RJ or whoever try to creep in already, even if the ball's on the other side.
Right.
Cross country passes, dribble drive penetration kills us, pick and pops kills us. I said this yesterday. That boy Luka Samanic or whatever. I watched him play the Nets. He went 2 for 5 from 3. I mean, he wasn't crazy special. I was like, watch him use him on the outside, and he hit, I think, 3-4 threes yesterday. Patty Mills, again, our perimeter defense is poor.
He lit us up.
Yeah, he lit us up. Our pick and roll defense, again, it's tough because with the ice pick and roll defense, based on how Tom Thibodeau ran it with Chicago, because they had such high IQ front court guys, they were the ones that actually control and do the communicate to say, all right, switch here, stay here, let me peek, let me get back. They were the communicative ones.
Right.
If you don't have Taj there, Taj will do that. But a guy like Nozzle, I know Mitch is hurt, but Nozzle, even though Nozzle's playing good defense, many times he can get stuck out there. You know what I mean? So when whether it's Patty Mills coming off the pick and shooting threes like he did last night, whether it's Brogdon shooting threes when Mitch Robinson's there, we just don't have the high IQ front court guys. And offensively, we just, we don't have a bucket getter I know people gonna say Levine, and I know people thinking that sense of Levine and Bill, but we don't have a high level 1A, even a 1B type scorer who, when things are all wrong, he can carry the team on his back, give you a solid 25-30 that night. It's just sometimes players are off, sometimes the team may have it. And again, another thing is that the Spurs aren't a good 3-point shooting team. So Popovich saw that he sees that weakness that we sell out on the paint defense. So dribble drive penetration, kick out, pick and roll. Even off the pick and roll, if it's not getting to the roll man, kick it out to the guy on the perimeter. You'll kill us. And then they hit 41%, 42% from 3 last night. So it was just coming down to us. Yeah, it's just and our young guys right now, they're so raw. Like, again, how many turnovers or how many fumble balls that guys like, I know Frank is not considered one of the younger guys, but he's still relatively young. Frank, even though he shot well from 3 yesterday as an off-ball shooter, but IQ, he's having issues of, if he can't get the pick, he has issues getting past his man, ISO. He has to improve his dribble, obviously. Obi Toppin, after that one clunk 3, he just became timid. Him driving to the basket, he has no his functional strength has a long way to go. If you see the 2 layups he took on the left, he could not get any leverage in the air. And that's
right.
it was bad. Like, he was just basically kind of like selling out, trying to, and it's like he couldn't like push him in. He needs a little bit more change of pace moves, maybe a spin move, something that may come in the offseason. And then you have Kevin Knox, who literally took the ball at the top of the key, drove all the way to the other corner to shoot a contested three that missed.
I remember that.
He took was an open. It was a three at the top of the key. Like, you know, you guys are Kevin Knox fans, right? I don't want to.
Maybe on draft day, believed in the potential, and then like a year and a half later, I was like, all right, never mind. Enough.
See, and that's the thing, is that Tom Thibodeau, his system calls for, I don't want to say necessarily just high IQ, but guys who are there. Like, you watch, even when you watch Obi, right? Obi does certain things. Like, when I forgot which game was it the Hawks game or was it the Hawks game or Jazz? I can't remember which one. But you saw him sending constant screens up top for Quickly, and Quickly, I remember, like, hit a three. I was just pick and roll him, run to the basket, needs help, because he flubbed one yesterday. Him and Quickly got him on a foul line. He came too late and then flubbed the ball, and then he took a bad shot. If he was rolling, that would have been a decent attempt at the basket. But you see him moving baseline, sending the screens up top. He even called out when if you go back to the first Warriors game, either the third or fourth quarter when the game was really out of hand, he was the one quickly called the Spain pick and roll. They did it wrong because it's supposed to be Noza and then Obi, because you want the guy to set the pick on the guy setting the pick, and the guy who splits out as a shooter and the guy rolls to the basket. It would be Noza. They call it wrong, but Obi was the one that called Noza to run that pick, to run the set, and it's like, okay. And people are like, oh, Tom Thibodeau. It's like, no, that's a complex play. They run a lot in Europe that works over in Europe, and they run it. Houston's run it. They said George Karl was running back in the 90s. Say I had an instructional video, but you see things like that, and then you watch Knox, and it's like his only value is in the corner.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. So when you have these low IQ players, especially your young players who they're not uber talented and they don't have high IQ for the most, and it's spread around. Some guys are, you know what I mean. You're just gonna struggle in these games, and you're playing against Popovich, one of the greatest coaches of all time, probably. You argue top 3, top 5 greatest basketball coaches of all time, top 10
at least,
in sports. So he's just gonna exploit you. You know what I mean? So it's you take that on the chin, you come back tomorrow, you regroup. And it's a learning experience. You know what I mean? Even in a game when the game was out of hand, you know what I mean? You're looking at Knox, you're looking at Obi, you're looking at Quickly, and he's like, guys, this is a new game right now. For you guys. Like, this is an evaluation period. Even though some of you guys are rookies and stuff, whatever, this is an evaluation period for you. Let's see how you act in certain sets, how you carry on. And Quickly was hitting a few threes. Popovich had to call a timeout. Not say they're gonna come back, but it's like, all right, let's take them out of rhythm and stuff like that. So it's still a learning experience, but take this game, and for all the people that say we're going to go to the playoffs so easily, that's. I mean, we got very fortunate playing some teams that did not have all their horses, and we beat some tough teams. I ain't going to take that away from the Knicks, but that's great coaching right there. You know what I mean? That's that, and you add talent on top of that. I'm just saying, Knicks. Let's moderate expectations. I'm sorry, I just went way across the question.
All good. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. No, I was just gonna go off that because it seems like you got some skepticism just about like the outlook of the team in the second half, and I want to kind of tie that back to your observations about the defense. So you look at the numbers. Like, I mean, we hear it every game. We're like the top 2 defense, best defense in the league. Do you think like it's all luck, or is it like a mixture of both? Like, there's something in play where the system actually allows for like cleaner defensive performances, like I mean, but also like I kind of do think there is some luck involved with like the open threes being missed. But like, what's your take really on that?
I say this all, and by the way, see that I like this guy. I've said this so many times, even since the OKC when we first played OKC, and I got lambasted for this. They're like, "Oh, you think the Knicks defense fluke?" I'm like, it's not a fluke, but I'm watching these games, and we let up a lot of threes. And if you look at the teams that we've lost to, at one point before this game, first of all, we have the so-called number 1 defense. It's all relative, right? Because you have a year where everybody's just not good defensively. Theoretically, I'm just saying. So the rankings are just relative. They're not absolutes, right? I've seen good defenses, but you can say the 90s Knicks, right? You could say you could talk about the 03-04 Pistons. You could talk about the 08 Celtics with James Posey and what is my man? Tony Allen. Even KG. I'm not saying, again, when you look at the Knicks, we're 11th in 3-pointers made. We're number 1 3-point percentage, but we're 25th in 3-pointers allowed. And we let up a lot of open threes. And the philosophy of the ice pick and roll defense is to force a lot of long twos. But the thing about it is that because of the ice pick and roll, we don't have high IQ players who reset properly. Even when Elfrid Payton said, people say, "Oh, Elfrid Payton, blah blah." Elfrid Payton he was very slow to get around a lot of screens. Go back to that OKC game. I said, "Yo, watch." I said, "Sim, everybody said we're gonna win this game. I feel we can win this game. Watch them utilize Horford. Watch that pick and pop tonight." What happened? Second half, explosions with pick and pop. Same thing. Well, outside more so Toronto was just more Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell, and was it Kyle Lowry? But I mean, that was different. But again, we suffer on the perimeter. We don't have guys who reset properly. Many times on the dribble drive penetration, guys get us confused. People are still trying to look for their proper guys, and a lot of open threes. But when you're playing teams like the Magic, the first time, you know, he's oh yeah, we're top 3 point. Like, well, you're beating teams. Some of these teams you're beating are not good 3-point shooting teams. So we're getting we're very fortunate in that regard. Like, I'm not sure. Everybody knows the reversion to the mean, and I'm just trying to look for real quick the splits between away and home. Win and losses, because when I last checked before last game, the 3-point percentage of our opponents in wins was like 27%, but in losses it was like 30. No, it was 28%, but in losses it was like 38, 37%. So again, it's like there's a disparity regarding that. And again, if you're allowing a lot of 3-point shots, if you're not guarding the perimeter, I mean, if you're not getting back out to your man, and you're allowing a lot of, again, it's some of it is luck. I mean, again, I give Tom Thibodeau all the credit. We don't have players like that. My humble opinion, we don't have a lot of talent on this team. Randall Moore, RJ, I like RJ, but you wouldn't categorize him as this highly talented player. Not just yet. He's a work in progress, right? You probably have a 1.5, so-called talented players on this team. Tom Thibodeau's coaching the heck out of these guys. And people say, oh, he doesn't play young guys. Don't we have like one of the youngest teams in the league or something like that? I might be wrong. I heard it somewhere. So it's not, I didn't do my proper research, but I could have heard that somebody, you giving IQ had Kawhi Leonard switch on him. Like, you know what I mean? Like Tom Thibodeau's trying to make do with what was given to him. You know what I mean? So I agree with you, man. I think our perimeter defense is overrated. Every time I could literally, if you give me a team that has a front court shooter and at least a guard who could dribble, drive, penetrate, kick out, and you have another wing player who could shoot, I can literally call up the plays that are going to happen and say, not exactly. I'm just saying I could literally call how the team is going to attack us, and more often than not, it usually happens. When you have a well-coached team, happens most of the time. You know what I mean? Right. You look at the Hawks. The Hawks are the beast. That first game up by 14 because Lloyd Pierce, and now they're coming out that Lloyd Pierce did not like Trae Young. That was a better coached team. They smack us. I mean, they kill us. Yeah. Jazz game. I believe they played the night before, and they got really lazy in the second half. But they were slashers, killers. So I think that was a little bit. I don't think they shot great in the second half from 3. I forgot how that one went, but yeah, perimeter defense.
Austin Rivers had to go crazy to get that one
both times.
And then people were like, yo, we making the playoffs. I'm like, dogs, Austin Rivers has had games like this before. And then Julius Randle that night was like 10 for 26 or something. He went to the line like 7-8 times. So that's not sustainable. You know what I mean? It's right. I love Knicks fans because I think that Knicks fans are the most passionate.
Spirited.
Most spirited. Like I've been to Pittsburgh. Connecticut has they don't give a damn about sports. I've been to Pittsburgh. They love their Steelers. Like when the Pittsburgh college team was good, they didn't give a damn about that. They all still. So you know what I mean? And they don't have a basketball team. So it's whatever. But in terms of passion, in terms of we still want to go to a game even when the Knicks had guys like Larry Hughes and Jared. These absolute just Garbaggio players. But one thing is that we're too delusional. You know what I mean? I know people, now Max Kellerman so-called got called out, but we are only 500. like let's be honest, we are only 500. And I'm not saying you should not get happy. I think you should internalize it because damn, okay, I see the changes. I see something here. But now you're hearing people, oh, yo, we got to trade RJ and get Bradley Beal here. And I'm like, oh, my Lord, you guys were complaining about development last year. You get the development. You're sneaking into the playoffs. And now you want to trade everything or possibly sneak into the playoffs. We're not even done. First half. We're not even done with the second half. You're talking about trading all these guys. This is the funniest thing. I'll say, why don't you go through this year? We have 2 first rounders. There are a bunch of guys in the late lottery, even outside of it, that would be really good for this team. If you want a 3-point shooter, get a Corey Kispert from Gonzaga. Want a 3D player you could develop, get a Moses Moody from Arkansas. You want a guard, an athletic guard that could develop his outside shot, get a James Bouknight from Connecticut, get an Iowa from Illinois. And it's like, you don't know how those guys are going to turn out. Okay, so here's their plan. Let's trade it. RJ and all these other guys quickly, Obi, everything else to get Bradley Beal, a 30-point averaging guy who's been on an underperforming Wizards team, whose performances team doesn't until recently when they ran that low 5-game winning streak, didn't seem to really elevate the team. Was a guy who was sitting out timeouts, berating his own teammates. Guy was taking off plays. So you bring him over here to the Knicks, a lateral move because he's only going to have Julius Randle, and he's like, but we could get free agents because back when we did the Melo deal, all we had to do was amnesty Stoudemire instead of Chauncey Billups, and it was a rumors that Chris Paul wanted to come to the thing Chris Paul this offseason who said I did not rumored to say he didn't want to come to the Knicks. So you put all your and they say, we have draft picks in the future. But you just marginalized the draft picks I said this year. And the thing about it is that this draft is this one. People talking. I don't know if you guys listen to the Game Theory podcast. They said that they were analyzing this draft for 2-3 years. They said that John Morant Zion draft was nice. They said this draft is stacked. Exactly. And there's several people saying it. So if you're talking about a stacked draft, you can pick late and still pick gems. There's literally guys that if they were in last year's draft, they're going to lottery who are slipping probably in the 20s. You know what I mean? So it's like Knicks fans, we it's like we see a little bit of shine, and it's like, just rip everything. It's like, no.
Yeah, there's no middle ground. There's like no nuance to it. It's either like one extreme or the other.
Mm-hmm.
There's something called development, and it's funny because people are like, and I agree. And I said, give me at least till next year if you want to make a trade. So if you do want to trade a RJ Barrett, because I like RJ Barrett, I don't necessarily want to trade him unless he's stinging up the base, not developing. He's developing. If you want to trade RJ Barrett, at least drum up his volume a little bit more so you don't have to give up as much next year. Like, be smart about it. It's like, no, because we don't know if Zach LaVine and Bradley Beal, we don't know if they're going to be here next year, blah, blah. Well, first of all, they haven't been traded yet. 2, there's always going to be disgruntled players who want to leave their teams. 3, you might want to build up because, again, you trade all these guys to go for the quick fix. Players might see it's like, that's a dumb franchise. Versus, Tom Thibodeau, what the hell is he doing over there, bro? The Knicks are decent? Oh, wait, they playing with Reggie. I can't hit an open 3 Bullock and who? Oh, no, I got to go there. Something. That's how – look at the Nuggets. Not to say everybody's claiming to go to Nuggets, but the Nuggets literally a team outside of that trade for Jamal Murray, and it's actually reverse of this, of trading for a superstar. That team is mostly organic. I know Will Barnes was a free agent who came over, but I'm not saying you have to sit and just draft and boring draft every year and wait. No, but there's a way that you go about it. And it's like people say, we have PTSD. But it's like, no, if you repeat history – I mean, if you don't pay attention, you're bound to repeat it. Like we did this during the Scott Layden era. We try to trade for all these guys to help hold over that the aging core or what was left of it with Sprewell and Allen Houston, and we're just making these. It's like this tumbling block of just bad trade after bad trade, giving up pick, giving up LaMarcus Aldridge pick, giving up Jamal Murray pick, giving up this. And it's like then we sit back and we could have had this. It's like Knicks fan. What the F do you want? Do you want development? Development is not half a season. Development is 1-2 years, but what development does is that it allows you to have many years of solid play of where you could, for instance, what's this team I was about to put? The Warriors, right?
Right, yeah.
They literally, this is how scary the Warriors are, right? Because they have somebody's pick this year. I believe it's protected, right? But they could end up with a Jalen Green in this draft. They could end up with.
Sure, is this year? I know that's how they got Wiseman last year. I don't know if they still
got the
have
Minnesota pick this year. No,
they do.
They have Minnesota. Yeah, they have Minnesota.
Yeah, they got the Minnesota pick.
And if Minnesota, think about this, they literally could go from one era of dominance to literally a new era of dominance.
Just like that.
And it's a beautiful transition where obviously Curry is aging, Clay is aging, but you see them now they're going to build with the front court with Wiseman. Now, I mean, I don't sign Oubre because they are $80 million above the luxury tax, or something crazy like that. But literally, that's how you build a team. And they made the trade for, or not trade, but they brought over a KD. Yeah, I mean, there's smarter ways to build versus taking a team that's barely scraping the playoffs at 500 and wiping that all out because now Julius Randle has finally become a solid power point forward in half of a season. You know what I mean? and that's why my channel is boring. And salute to Robert Parr, man. I see him in the building. That guy's always supporting me. Salute to Robert Parr. But Robert Parr tell you, man, my channel is boring in that regard because I try to look at all possible roads and try to pick the most prudent one. I
love no Kool-Aid on that channel, right? Like just delusional talk. I dig that because I'm on the same boat. We hear it all the time. Like there are people like as soon as we got Tibbs, all I heard was like, yo, like just F development. We're not developing anymore. I mean, you could develop and try to win at the same time. Like the Raptors, the Spurs, Miami, the list goes on and on. Like the best example is probably Boston. I feel like that's the model we should try to adapt. Those young players, we got a prominent like vet free agent we signed last year in Randall. Try to win and keep attracting one star after another, 1 year after another. Like, but there's no patience for that amongst the Knicks like fan base, like at all. Like, I don't get it.
It's a weird thing. It's like we love. It's a weird thing. It's like we love misery. Like we just love chaos. No, but it's like this. People were crying. You have the Knoxers, and I used to be a franker. I ain't gonna lie. I used to be a franker. But it's yeah. You said what?
You said used to be a franker?
I used to be a franker. Back in the day, I used to be a franker.
Okay.
A Frank Ntilikina, fan, just because I thought that he was talented. I like the pick and pop plays he had with KP. I thought he was a solid player with some upside. He was the best pick and roll defender his rookie season. He ranked like in the 87th percentile.
Right.
Rookie season. So again, I thought he was solid. But it's just we're sitting here and cry about Frank and Knox. They never got development. Okay, well if they got development, that means we're probably losing. And the thing about that, we're winning now, and he's playing young guys. Like it's this weird misnomer where it's like, he doesn't play with the Bulls. Like, no, he had a veteran team with the Bulls, but he also Jimmy Butler. How does Jimmy Butler get started? Derrick Rose didn't get drafted by him, but Derrick Rose was a second-year player,
third-year MVP,
third-year player, I believe, who had big responsibilities on that team.
Exactly.
I mean, so like, they just say, Taj Gibson, Jakim Noah came from Florida. This is a guy who was number 5 in MVP voting that year. Can't shoot worth a lick. You tell me the last time a defensive player who's also a plus passer, high IQ player, was a top 5 voter in MVP votes without having any real. So it's just when Tom Thibodeau came, it's like, and even I admit when first I went to Atkinson, and I was an Atkinson guy. I liked the development he had with the Nets, even though obviously there's things was play calling, got some issues there. But it's like when you read more about what Tom Thibodeau does, when you read about how he switched it up, adapted on offense once Derrick Rose went down, played a lot more triangle, and not just the boring. I'm not talking about the boring Phil Jackson triangle. Go back and watch some of those films with the Chicago Bulls of Tom Thibodeau. They had a beautiful offense, and people are the triangle ball. When you think about Phil Jackson and his rigid system of triangle can be very, very versatile on how you implement it. So I get with Knicks fans, we just. I don't know, man. We have no patience. I've heard, fire Tom Thibodeau. Okay, we fired Tom Thibodeau, right?
You saw that? There are people saying that?
I saw that.
You saw
You go on Twitter, you see it at least like twice a day, somehow.
I know you guys have to work late at night, or not late at night. We have to wake up early and work and stuff. I do too, but I'm a psycho. You guys go on some of these channels, and salute to all the content creators out there. But you find some of the craziest Knicks fans saying, we should
deep in the crevices.
It's like, wait, what? And you're expecting free agents to look at that and be like, that's a model of consistency. Let me go over there. And they just fired a coach. They just hired this year. And people are like, he's a turbo coach. He doesn't play Kevin Knox. And I'm like, how about Kevin Knox is not a good player? Like, exactly. Why should Tom Emmanuel Quickly's getting big minutes as a combo guard, 6'3" combo guard, who's like $180. He's getting big minutes closing out games. For a guy who doesn't like rookies, Tom
supposedly
Thibodeau, the weirdest coach of all time. It's like,
I don't
know,
so from all the roads that you mentioned, and you said you're a guy who likes to see all the different various roads that you could take. Is this the best road that you see, or the most reasonable one for the Knicks? A team that basically might be over winning at a point, or over succeeding, or what do you think?
No, I mean, when we say over succeeding, I look at it. I mean, there's obviously a bad in terms of not being, being delusional, but it's also good because that shows how good of his coaching is. This is the best avenue to go, right? You there are a bunch of young players or a few young players that we don't know what's what. You know what I mean? I think Obi Toppin, this is my conspiracy theory. I think that he was a Leon Rose pick. I don't think he was a Tom Thibodeau pick because his agent is Leon Rose's son-in-law. something like that.
Son, I think. Yeah, they had
Son, yeah.
the same last name, so I assumed it was his son.
Right. And Tom Thibodeau, this is my conspiracy theory. I think that Tom Thibodeau, they've kind of held him in to kind of like hold the fort. And I think this is going to be Johnny Bryan's job once Tom Thibodeau does, or Tom Thibodeau, craps the bed. Not say they didn't expect Tom Thibodeau to win, but it's kind of like provide the foundation. And then we allow, because whenever you have a coaching staff, whenever you bring in a coach staff of like an accredited coach, you allow them to bring their whole coaching staff. You don't bring in your guys and implement your guys in their coaching staff. They bring their guys, you trust them. But yeah, right now is the best way because what else are we going to do? I mean, we're overachieving, but a lot of it's through coaching. A lot of these guys were here last year and they weren't doing the same thing. I mean, Julius Randle, he's looking like a bootleg Jokic right now, largely because of coaching. I mean, Tom Thibodeau spoke to him this summer. They spoke about him working towards being more of a point forward. He changed his game up. He shot 1,000 shots a day in the summer, all that stuff. I mean, Tom Thibodeau has that voice, and so. It's funny because people say, "Oh, he's old school," but if you think about it, because of the lack of development, a lot of these young guys like the Kevin Knoxes, even the Frank Ntilikina's, and these guys actually need old school discipline, getting to the spot on the court, learning where to get the spots on the court. And Nick, my boy Nick G, brought it up yesterday. And we were talking, and he was like, "Have you noticed that this team, for the most part, has really excellent spacing? Like if you just watch them run out there, they typically, and you're talking about even young players outside of Knox." Dribble the ball from the top of the key to the corner like an imbecile. For the most part, even the young guys, it's good spacing. Now, guys may not execute shots and that stuff. For the most part, that's these guys are getting it. Versus, say, Knox's rookie season where he looked artificially good, especially in the month of December. You're still losing games, but Knox scored, so that's development. Is that really? No, it's not. So this is the best. This is the best course. Obviously, draft picks, and again, there might be some trades, some free agency is going to be dead for like the next 2 years. But they're, right now, this is the best route, man. Coach up this team as much as possible, build that foundation. So even other players, now you can go out and look at the not just the 1A, 1B players. You look at the 2, the 3, 4, lower level players, but they fit a role perfectly for this team. I mean, they may be specialists, but they do something really well. They can hit that wing shot really well once quickly gets a double pick and kicks it out, or Rose gets a double pick up top and kicks it out to the wing. They can hit down those shots, or they can shift really well off the pick and roll. Ice pick and rolls really important. Bullock may suck on offense, but he's one of the better pick and roll defenders in the league. He ranks like in the 80-something percentile. It may be worse now, but according to synergy, he's like up there. So, build a foundation now. See the young guys who rise up to the top. You skim off the ones who don't, and you build from there. That's the smartest way to go.
So going off that though, would you stand pat at the trade deadline, or is there like an incremental move like you eyeing for the team right now that could like help us like right now, but also like to your point, help the young kids with their development, put them in a better situation to succeed? I mean,
I don't think we're gonna make the Bradley Beal Levine because it's just way too much.
Right, too early, I think too.
Yeah, it's too early. Obviously, guys like JJ Redick, because we just need a knockdown outside shooter badly. Definitely will look at him. Another guy who I think is a long shot, and he got a contract last year just for that point guard position. Monte Morris from the Denver Nuggets, because they got PJ Dozier and they got
Harris.
Larry Harris is healthy, Jamal Murray moves to the 1, but they got somebody RJ Hampton. So
kid they drafted.
I don't know how much you have to pay, but they have like a glut there. So that means giving up a Knox, because they could use another 3. I'm not saying Knox would become anything, but because Monte Morris, I think he's solid, right? But people look at him, he's 6'2", he's not. But every time he comes in, he fills in, he plays really well, and he killed us last game. That's another guy I like. Need somebody for the front court. I know people talking about Bamba. I wouldn't mind it, but right now it's like, who could you trade? So you need a wing badly. People talking about Harrison Barnes. I'm not sure you take on that contract, and I still have nightmares when he missed those shots against Cleveland. Everybody went down. The Warriors of championship, and he was terrible there. But I don't know. Maybe he's one of these lower. He does better in some of these like smaller cities. I don't know. It's tough, but definitely Redick would be one. I know people talking about Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball to me is not really a point guard. He's like an off guard. And granted, his shooting has improved a lot. Suit to my guy Nick, because he pointed this out. Frank or Fred Vincent, their shooting coach, has improved his game over the past 2 years. But is that a guy you give him a first for? I'm not sure.
He's gonna be a free agent this year, right? Lonzo's a free agent this year. Not to interject, but
no. Fair enough. I think he's a I think he's restricted because he rejected the offer, the extension. So I think I think he's restricted. I believe he'll be restricted free agent this year. I'm not sure they're signed to an offer sheet. Maybe he wants more money. But again, they're building around Ingram and Zion, so he might be expanding. They still got
Bledsoe.
Bledsoe. So he might be available. They'll take a second and Knox. But he's a guy. He's not a Tom Thibodeau guard, right? So it's a weird thing. Tom Thibodeau utilizes a lot of combo guards, but once you put Lonzo at like the 2, because he doesn't penetrate really. He doesn't like. If you look at this free throw draw rate, it's like what 10% or something. It's like it's not good. So he's not a Tom Thibodeau guard. Tom Thibodeau likes guards who could drive, penetrate, kick out, get into the heart of defense, and he doesn't do it. So you'd be playing him at basically a 2, and I guess you move RG to the 3. You still probably need a 1. He can facilitate, but he's more of a faster paced guy. I think the Pelicans, they definitely probably run a faster pace than us. I don't remember where it was, but I'm just not sure, man. He's a talent, but you got to get somebody for the front court. You got to get some protection. Maybe you do a second for Obama once the Magic start to lose out, and they're just like, well, we got to get rid of some guys and shed some fat. Maybe go after him, but we need another body down low because Taj Gibson's out. You can't survive with Obi giving you major minutes with defensive responsibilities. And also, you probably need to spell Randall a little bit more, even when Randall's in there, because now they're playing Randall as like a smaller 5. But you saw yesterday, it was a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So Guillermo, as we start to close out this episode, we like to ask a couple of personal questions. So one of which is
shifting gears.
You said you played center 6'3". So who do you typically model your game after when you bowl? And do you still bowl today? I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, but I don't know are you still in Connecticut, by the way?
No, I live in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn.
Right, nice.
I went to school for 4 years in Connecticut. But so growing up, my favorite player was Allen Houston. Growing up, the one I said was my favorite player when I was like a kid was Anthony Mason, just because the parts in the head. And, he was a point forward. It was cool. His game was cool. Rest in peace, Anthony Mason. But Allen Houston, because I was the most explosive, and I was a gym rat at shooting, or tried to be a gym rat shooting. So I'm on my game. I've been picking your spots on the floor. That little, shimmy, a step in, right in the elbow, pull up shot. So I try to model after him. I don't know. Right now, I mean, I still try to play ball. I haven't played ball in so long, but I'm about to sign up for this this online platform. It's called Indoor Hoops. I've done it many times before, but they have a spot in Greenpoint. So hopefully I can do it this Friday. And I know I'm probably going to be god awful terrible. But yeah, I just try. I'm more of like a space shooter. Try to run the floor, good at facilitating. Try to drive on like taller, slower guys. But model my game after, I guess it had to be just really Allen Houston. I don't know if I really had a game. I could get white hot from outside. But in terms of anybody's game, I can't really say who. I'm a good defender when healthy. But I'm totally not healthy because like I have like a back issue. I tore my left calf or partially tore it a few years ago. So I'm just like breaking down slowly. So I'm probably like more on the Sean Elliott side. Got to give me like a knee brace and extra like elbow pads and everything. But yeah, I don't know. I just try to go out there and ball. But yeah, we'll see, man. Too many younger guys now playing the summer. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got kids who are just yamming it and terrible fundamentals. But I was at Bridge Park. I'm like, Lord Jesus, I might be too old, man. I'm there like trying to dribble and shoot from outside and do all the little things. And these guys are just high schoolers, just like throwing it up. Boom! I'm like, yeah, this is
time to retire.
They're like 40. They're all like 40 feet from the basket, shooting 30s.
There's a kid out there. He tore his MCL.
God damn.
He didn't get surgery, and he was like, oh yeah, man, I gotta go get surgery. Somebody, I'm like, surgery for what? Because I forgot about it. He did some stupid windmill, some absurd thing while because team switch is 4-4. Brooklyn Bridge Park can't play 5-5. It's 4-4 on these bunch of these courts, full courts, but they play half court. And we're just waiting for the game to start up or waiting for the team to get ready. And the kid on the other team was just yamming it. I'm like, yo, and he's like, oh damn, I gotta go get surgery. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, man, I tore my MCL. I'm like, You go what? And you're doing it. And he was playing normally. I'm like, yo, these kids nowadays, I don't know what's in the food. They're something's wrong with them. But yeah, I guess I just model my game to just try to shoot the shot and get hot from there. That's about it.
That's what's up.
Nice. We appreciate the scouting report. Last question. We like to try to ask every guest this, but when you hear the word Knick-ish, obviously we chose this name for a reason. What comes to mind first? Because we get a lot of different answers, some positive, mostly bad. But when you hear Knick-ish, what do you think?
Why do you get bad? I don't even.
It's always
it's
like
a literal word, Knick-ish. Not us.
Like, when a team does some dumb shit, they're like, "Oh, that's a Knick-ish thing to do." I mean, that's literally why we named our podcast this.
That's actually a great take. I actually think of that show Blackish because it literally is like the same. How in the dictionary. I don't know what you would call
Color
it.
scheme. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I get that. What else do I get? You actually remind me of my friend Cyril from college. So it's like every time I see it, like, dude looks just like my boy Cyril. I don't think anything negative. Knick-ish. I'm trying to think. How about because I'll say Nixian or like
you didn't say Nixian.
Yeah, like dumb Nick. No, I guess Knick-ish would be
like a synonym. You know what I mean?
No, Knick-ish is actually perfect. Yeah, it's Knick-ish. Oh yeah, wow, Kevin Knox. Oh yeah, that's definitely Knick-ish. That's just dumb. Yeah, that's. I can definitely. Okay, I see that. But no, I just see like two guys, like two friends, like basically just talking about Knicks. Like it's like when I first saw your show, one of your shows on Sportscaster. It's like I can see the pain, but it's like they're trying to be very professional. But it's like I can tell they're like disgust. It's like they're it's like they're so jaded. It's like, well, I'm almost at that same spot where it's like sometimes you could bring it out of me, but I'm no longer like I wake up like angry, like they said, what about the Knicks? So F man. It's like you're just like, you know what? It's like maybe you start to get that maybe God doesn't want us to win. It's like, okay. It's fine.
Almost there. Yeah.
There are other things in life, and then they start winning, and you're like, why do you do this to me? I literally set out the next 50, 60 years of my life, not expecting the Knicks to do anything. Like I'm okay with it, and then they start doing good. So I definitely feel that energy from you guys. You've done a great job being professional, but
appreciate that.
I can definitely feel the anger in that Knick-ish. I can feel it. That's actually great. Yeah. I'm not gonna start using it on your beat. I'm just gonna start thinking, it's very Knick-ish. And if I do use it, I'll point you guys out to say, hey,
appreciate that. Yeah.
Copyright already. This is not mine. Please go subscribe to Knick-ish. Are you guys doing a Knick-ish at night as well?
This is Knick-ish at night. So this is where we bring in a guest every week. Yep. Oh,
my bad. I thought you were doing something later. Okay.
Nah, we had to move it up to Wednesday night because we got a game tomorrow night. So it's like a last minute thing.
So why did I hear you? All right, I heard from somewhere that you guys are gonna do an actual Knick-ish at night, like at midnight. I'm like, well, they already have a show. All right, so I apologize.
Good. Yeah, man, we got sleep at 12. Man, we got work tomorrow. So Guillermo, for everyone watching who's not as familiar with your channel, or if they want to learn more about your show, where can they follow you?
Oh yeah, just go to Legion of Knicks on YouTube. Go to Legion of Knicks at Guillermo Kiske on Sportscaster. You can find me on Twitter, Legion of Knicks. You can find me on IG, Legion. I think Legion _of _Knicks podcast. I think it is. I apologize. I like Instagram. I just look at pictures for the most part. I used to. Now it's like, oh, you actually have to build out your platform on
right.
IG, so I have to actually do work. So I apologize. I sound very old, not be able to do this. Say it. Get it like that, but yeah, those are all the platforms you can find me at.
All good, man. Thank you. We really appreciate the time you gave us. This was a lot of fun. You truly know your shit. If you guys are watching this, make sure you follow Legion of Knicks podcast on YouTube. Subscribe. You got a show every night. You got a show tonight at what time is it? 10:30?
10:30
p.m. You got to watch. He's talking about which college teams again?
USC versus Stanford. Zaire Williams versus Evan Mobley, who will most likely not come to the Knicks, but.
Still a chance.
You could dream, man. You could dream.
Still a chance. Pelicans got Zion somehow with like the 9th odds.
Whoa. We're not. Look. We're on the coincidental list. We are not the chosens. We don't get.
You're right.
All right, so we don't get foul calls. We don't get draft picks where we want them. And grants, I like RJ back, but Ja Morant, that was
right there.
that was my God. All right, I'm sorry. We can talk
All
about
good.
it.
All good. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Knick-ish Show. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Give us a like, give us a follow, and make sure you tune in next week where we bring in a new guest for Knick-ish at Night. Till next time, take care, everyone. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.